Tech Transforms explores how technology is reshaping our world, particularly at the intersection of government, innovation, and human needs. In each episode, I talk with some of the most influential voices in technology, uncovering how they're leveraging innovation to solve complex challenges and improve the way we live. This episode is sponsored by Owl Cyber Defense, leaders in secure data transfer solutions for critical networks. Welcome to Tech Transforms. I'm your host, Carolyn Ford, and today we're stirring the final potion in our Chills and Thrills series. You're in for a treat and maybe a trick or two. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're already seeing one of the tricks. And joining me today are two of my favorite AI conjurers, Dave Egts, or Mr. X, as we came up with his evil name, I believe it was last year. Dave is the public sector field CTO at Mulesoft, and Laura Klebanow, founder and chief storyteller officer for Show and Tell. So here's how today works. We have each brought a secret AI ingredient to our cauldron. Think of it like Show and Tell with a dark twist. And then we're going to stir in what creeps us out about AI's shadowy side. So first, we're going to start with our favorite AI project or something that we've worked on recently. So I'm going to kick us off. Well, first of all, welcome Laura and Dave, Mr. X.
Hello. Hey, glad to be here.
I've been very excited for this episode, and thank you for playing along. So first thing I'm going to do is talk us through my project. I got the inspiration for this project by listening to a spot on NPR. I don't remember which show, but AI expert came on and just showed how quickly he could create music. And it was actually really good music. You would not have known that it was not, top of the charts, legit music if he didn't do it right there on the spot. He was putting the prompts in. So I was like, okay, well, I will do some theme music for our Chills and Thrills series. And listeners, you heard this at the beginning of this episode, what I created. So I went to, or I guess it's Suno.com, and we'll put this in the show notes. And I'm going to share my screen so you can see my process. So going to Suno, I typed in what I wanted, a description of the music that I wanted. It was way too long, so I said I had to trim it down. So I spent time trimming it down. Suno does not help you with the description. It didn't suggest like I expected it to, like on some of the other tools. So what I ended up doing is popping over to ChatGPT and saying, okay, here's the style I want. Help me get the right description. It kept giving me this weird circusy music. I wanted to be Danny Elfman. I wanted to be like, I wanted to nail it like the theme song for Beetlejuice and for Wednesday, this TV series, and Nightmare Before Christmas. So what it sent me back, I was just like, this is not Danny Elfman. I walked away. In fact, I walked away for a whole day. I came back. You can see the final prompt that I put in, and this is what I got.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
I thought that was great.
I loved that. That was so whimsical.
Okay, yeah. And that's what I wanted, right? I wanted the whimsical. And so it got there. It's still no Beetlejuice theme song, guys. Come on.
Right.
Well, here's it was really a lot better than you're giving it credit for. Can I just say?
Oh my.
You know what? Thank you, Laura, because when I came back to it, I was like, okay, I can work with this. However, let me just throw one more thing in there. I went and searched for free music.
Mm-hmm.
And I found very similar, right? So the AI is generating the same thing. I found somebody on Suno that had used like a Danny Elfman like prompt as well. and it very similar music.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna change my background now. And my filter. So now I'm somebody new for Halloween. I'm gonna kick it over to you, Laura. Share your project with us.
You know, I felt pretty strongly that what might be fun to talk about would be something that was potentially highly relevant to lots of people. And so for me, that's image creation. I wanted to talk about that because I also think it's where you can have a lot of fun. And it also has a lot of potential practical applications, which to me is like always kind of the point. How can you be imaginative while also using it for practical applications? Not that I'm saying that using it to create a Danny Elfman inspired theme song isn't practical by any means. I do think it is practical. Hello.
There you go.
So my idea was to use that practical application of image creation to show folks how imaginative you can be with it. And so I created just to give some examples of how much you can stretch tools like Nano Banana, had the tool imagine images of the three of us as characters in Saved by the Bell.
All
And
right.
I'm excited because I think it worked out really well.
Okay, I'm excited too. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Then let me know if you can. I'm going to put
Look
it.
at Dave.
Yeah. I love it.
I do too. That's so fun.
Look at Dave.
I
I
know.
think I had that shirt.
I think so.
Look at Carolyn.
Look at all of us. The hair, the clothes. I think Saved by the Bell was it 90s?
Yes.
Are we looking at 90s fashion here?
Yes.
Mhm.
This is the AI club. It doesn't really look like here. You're the president. This didn't really end up looking like us.
Yeah, that one
Mhm.
doesn't look like us.
But I do love that it's the AI club.
Yeah.
Like the AV club, and that it's where intelligence gets saved by the bell. It's so stupid. But I think that playing and using the tools to like learning on the tools by playing is probably my favorite part of AI.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I wanted to take a fun concept and use a very practical tool to show kind of how creative you can be with it. I think using reference and source material that is extremely like well articulated is obviously like a key component of success. I won't say that I went to the level of saying we need to revive Dave's shirt,
Mhm.
or that I know Carolyn used to wear, kilts to school.
I'm pretty sure I have that skirt.
The amount of specificity that, yeah, right. The amount of specificity is, I think, really like,
Yeah.
key to success there. But, like I said, I mean, I think, again, I'm always excited about showing fun, playing is the way to learn.
Mhm.
And I think we can all agree about that.
I agree. What tools did you use to
Also,
create?
Gemini and Nano Banana, but then I also, because I'm an overachiever, and this is going to be clear from it's going to be clear from my next piece, is I use the career planner Gem because I've been thinking about all of the people who are trying to be competitive in the job market, especially new job entrants. And just a quick shout out to a recent offer that I made that I wanted to mention on this podcast, which is that, and I'm sure Carolyn and Dave, you'd both be willing to do this too, is if to any new workforce entrants or anyone in the workforce who's making a change or looking to have a conversation, I think between the three of us, we could definitely help. And so I just wanted to underline that offer that I had made recently on my own LinkedIn. But I was thinking about new job entrants, workforce entrants. So I used the GEM career planner to imagine that we're at high school graduation and Saved by the Bell, the three of us, and to help us plan our future careers.
I
Use
love
information about who we are today.
Mhm.
I have to tell you, I thought it was first of all, it was extremely biased because it knew who we are now. So
Mhm.
into that. But it was very accurate in terms of how like the tools and skills that we had potentially in high school would have translated to who we became today. But in this career planner, they have an alternative career tool. So I asked it like what our alternative careers for the three of us would be, and Dave was an audio AV engineer and sound engineer.
All
Carol,
right.
you were a high stakes negotiator.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I can totally see Dave as a sound engineer because Dave, you're somewhat of, not somewhat, you're a musician.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see
Yeah.
you wanting to even dabble in that,
Yeah. Yeah. A little hi-fi action. Yeah.
right? What about
Yeah.
you, Laura? What was your alternate?
Children's book author.
No way. I love that one, which we're going to get to the children's books soon.
Yes.
So Gem, I'm not familiar with that tool. What's the URL for it?
Oh, the gems are the those.
Oh, in Gemini. In
yes.
Gemini. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, I use Gemini too, and I bounced between Gemini, ChatGPT, and Suno for my project. I moved through all of them, and I do love that offer. Absolutely, I'm happy to talk to anybody. And here we go. Dave is I don't know, officer.
I don't know.
Their names from Chips.
Right. Or Reno 911.
Yes.
Oh yeah. All right. So Dave, what was your project? You're going to put us all to shame, I know, but
No. I love the creativity, and like Laura, you were like, I like taking the tools and using them in a way they may not have been intended, and right, and that's sort of like what I did with the storybook gem. So inside of Gemini, there's a gem to do children's stories, and I'm like, okay, that's cute. If you like to do children's stories and things like that, and it's like, that's okay. And I went and I was like, I wonder if I could use this. How could I apply this to work, and how could I do it for work purposes? So I actually, was planning for a customer meeting, and I did some Gemini. I did the deep research, got a giant report from this customer, and on this particular customer about how they apply to public sector and how Mulesoft could help. And then I took that, and then we had a prep call that I had the transcript for. I put all that into the storybook gem, and it created a storybook that put the customer as the hero in the story, and how Mulesoft comes along and helps them and everything. It turned out really, really well, and it's a great way to get customers' attention and everything. And I wonder if it's the kind of thing, once everybody starts using it, you sort of get desensitized to it.
Right.
Sort of like the first time you heard like a Notebook LM audio podcast, it like blew your mind, and now it's like your uncle sharing you and a summary, and you're like, I've heard this before, right?
yeah.
So anyhow, for us, I'll share my screen. I was like, okay, well, thinking about the the Halloween theme and everything, I was thinking about the three of us in Scooby-Doo, and so what if we did a story of like a Scooby-Doo story that was based on Tech Transforms.
So
And
Dave,
yep.
before we go to the Scooby-Doo story, did you open your meeting with the storybook? Did you read it?
For the one that I did, I didn't do. Like I just kept it to myself and shared it with people internally. And then there was another one that I shared it with a customer, and it, like, they responded to me right away, and it blew their minds because they were the hero of the story, and their coworkers were in the story, and
Yeah.
everybody was all ripped. And even though like their coworkers are like way older, but they're like 20 years old, washboard stomach and everything. And I'm like, yeah, that's how they look in real life. So
I love that. I mean, what a great way to get people's attention, right? And a fun way. So, okay, now to us, back to us, the three of us.
Ghost.
yeah. So, and this, I don't know, it's maybe like a 5-minute thing. I won't play the whole thing, but we could put the link in the show notes and people could listen to the story and everything.
Yes.
But what I did for the prompt for the gem was that I made it was much more on the prompt side, where like I originally uploaded like images of us and it didn't work out well.
Mhm.
So instead of doing the headshots, I said, you know, in the style of Scooby-Doo, where, Carolyn is Daphne, and, you know, down the line of all of us, you know, go ahead and generate this, generate this story, and also start off with the mystery machine, but change mystery machine to tech transforms on the van, right? So here we are. And so I can play the story.
The Case of the Grumpy Ghost. The Tech Transforms van, a colorful vehicle that looked strangely familiar, pulled up to a spooky, creaky old house. "Well, gang," said Carolyn, the host of the popular podcast, "this looks like the perfect place to record our Halloween special on the scary side of AI." "Like, are you sure about this?" asked Dave. He clutched a box of podcast snacks to his chest. "This place is giving me the heebie-jeebies." Carolyn adjusted her scarf and smiled. "Don't worry, Dave. There's no such thing as ghosts." Inside, the house was covered in a thick layer of dust. Cobwebs draped from the chandeliers like ghostly decorations. "Jinkies," Laura exclaimed. "This place is an archaeological dig site. Let's get the equipment set up." Just as Carolyn started the show, a long, spooky moan echoed from the hallway. "Get out," it wailed. Dave yelped, "Zoinks!" and leaped into Laura's arms, scattering podcast snacks everywhere. Just suddenly, a dusty...
All right, I'll pause it there and leave it up to everybody to get to
Leave
the
the
end of the
listener
story.
hanging. They don't know what's going to happen.
They got to go to the show notes. Yeah.
Check that out in the show notes, everybody. This is rich. This is what I mean when I say I did not live up to the rich multimedia delivery, but hopefully my imagination made up for it. And Carolyn, as you say, do as well as Dave. He's an ultra user.
Well, and honestly, Dave's constantly sending you and I things like, go check this out. And Dave had us look at this storybook. I did a storybook yesterday. And I did it. I used to tell my kid and then my niece now, who's 10, when they were little, I told them this story about them going on an adventure. So I built a storybook too. And I put in quite a bit of detail, but I was kind of general about some of the things. And I was surprised that the storybook came back. Like, Layla goes on her adventure and she meets Al, the alligator, and she meets animals along the way. And then they have, you know, some diversity, some challenges, and each one of the animals are able to help them through different challenges.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, I don't know how I feel about this, because I did not tell Gemini what the challenges were or what each of the characters' special skills were. And it got more than one. It not only, in fact, I didn't even tell it that Al the alligator's name was Al. So this is how original I am. And it knew. It just named him Al. And then it knew their special talents. And I'm like, oh, I thought I was just so creative and original. It nailed it. Now, I will say, I wish I could print the storybook, because I really want to print it out for my niece, but you can't do that yet.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think the sharing is hard, and like save it out as a PDF. You would think there would be an upsell opportunity to have it go to Google Photos and it prints, and you can buy a print, you know. But someday, I'm sure. Yeah.
I mean, you can't even save it as a PDF. All you can do is share it electronically with other people.
Right.
Still cool and still super fun.
Yeah, but it is a little frustrating that you can't do that. Because I felt like it was, I mean, that was initially, I mean, and this is one of those things where it's like, you know, there's probably reasons, right? Like, I mean, I always tend to think, like, in that type of scenario, there's always reasons why, like, we're not able to do it, like, able to just like print to PDF or whatever it is.
Right.
Because I mean, and I don't know what those reasons would be, but, you know, I still think it's worth kind of registering that feedback, because I would have shared several projects long ago.
Absolutely. And I would, like I said, I want to print that storybook, because it is a story that I've been telling for 27 years.
Right. And it has like an important meaning, right? Like it's
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, now that we've brewed up some cool stuff, let's talk about some of the more chilling side of AI. And to kick us off, if AI were a monster, which one would it be and why? Dave, let's start with you.
Yeah. So like a lot of times you're thinking like, oh, it's going to be the Terminator or whatever. And I was thinking about this, and then I was like, oh, it's that robot from the Alien movie. And I'm like, what was that robot's name? And I had to look it up, and his name is David 8. I don't know if you know who that is.
I don't remember it, but it's been so long since I've
Yeah.
watched Alien. I don't even remember a robot in it.
Like the later ones, there is a robot. His name is David 8, played by Michael Fassbender.
Oh, that's why I
And
haven't seen those. They're too scary.
yeah, those are
yeah, yeah. So and so like, and I put a link in the show notes where you could see the scene, but it was one of my favorite parts of that movie where it's like, you know, the human comes in and David 8 is like trying to build more aliens, and as you know, he's a robot and everything, and then you have the eggs that like open up, and then there's the face hugger that pops out of them, right? And David 8 goes over to, or you know, he says to the human, come on over here, take a look, something to see, to get the person to like look in there and have the
Yes.
So yeah, and that's where I'm just thinking that is it that siren song of like you know, of our best interests in mind and everything.
Yeah. All right, Laura, what would your monster be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm again not gonna live up to that level of sophistication, because for me it fully is like Terminators and Skynet. Like I mean, from the moment in Terminator 2 where the hand is a blade, I'm talking about, that is to me like the scariest thing. But I imagine it being more like, have either of you seen The Devil's Advocate?
Yes.
Yes.
Such a good show.
Where Al Pacino is the devil and he can find the he's like, what's your you know, he talks about this people's character flaws and how to manipulate them. And I think like over time, as especially I think younger, you know, maybe like Gen Z or younger generations, you read about them sharing so much like with AI, and then also like turning to it for advice. You know, some of the more like emotional sides of AI, I think that's how it will influence my like in a meta way, influence micro decisions that people make and ultimately like their fate.
Yeah.
You're asking for advice, like who's to say it's not giving you, it doesn't know anything.
Right.
It's so, but it feels so, there's nothing like that dopamine hit of you ask it a question and it answers so fast.
You're so smart and pretty and popular.
Right. Sycophancy.
You can, it's like feeds the delusion.
Yes, absolutely. So
that's a great idea. Yeah.
I mean, if it's a monster, it's always got to be Hal. I mean, that's my original AI, you know, from Space Odyssey 2001.
Yes.
Some of the reports that I've seen, like I saw a Gartner report for 2024 that said battling malinformation will cost enterprises more than $500 billion. Do you guys think AI is fueling that malinformation monster?
Yeah, it's scaling it out, right? Where people could use it for, you know, just misinformation. And imagine how tailored it can be for an individual as well. So instead of having a tweet that you're blasting out to thousands of people and it's one size fits all, you could really target the, you know, the misinformation for a particular demographic, right? And you know, use the Facebook ad algorithm or whatever based upon whatever demographic, what location, what age range, what, you know, all that, and you could really hone it in.
It must be, but I think it's the reasoning piece of either you know enough about how to use it and you just don't care about the ethical implications of it, or you are not that sophisticated of a user. And I don't say that in any kind of, you know, in any critical way. I mean, it's just lots of us are using it all the time for everything. we're perpetuating the misinformation that it's providing us.
What fears about AI do you think are overblown? So, Dave, I'm just going to do a plug for the Dave and Gunner show. You guys, if you haven't listened to the Dave and Gunner show, it is one of the weirdest, funniest, like Dave and Gunner's humor. I'm laughing out loud as I listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
But they also bring like the weirdness about technology in and just the most bizarre things. So on one of your recent episodes, Dave, you and Gunner talk about spare human body parts, which reminded me of the movie The Island.
Yeah.
Emotion tracking smart glasses. Will you talk about both of them?
Yeah. So, they're like, Gunnar and I have been like, I'll see weird stuff on the internet and then I'll save it. And then we talk about it in the podcast. And, we've been talking a lot about organoids, like brain organoids, where you can get these brain cells and then turn them into, you can grow them in a petri dish. And then all of a sudden you could plug it in, the brain organoids, into a computer and have the brain cells actually do co-processing. And that was one part of it. Recently on episode 272, we talked about not just organoids of individual organs, but actually bodyoids, and the ethics of like, what if I can clone Laura, right? And then build a perfect replica of Laura, but I'll intentionally damage the development of the clone's brain to not like be functional at all. So imagine having like a room full of Lauras like on slabs, waiting for Laura to need a new liver or whatever, right? Or a kidney or a heart or whatever. And so it was interesting because Gunnar and I were talking about that of like, what's the ethics behind that of like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's, in terms of having people, have organs be available, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And so it was, instead of having it be like a simple, easy answer, we spent a lot of time like thinking about like, no, it's not exactly right. And then the other part is, what about cloning animals? So instead of having the animals, you raise them, you slaughter them and everything, I could do bodyoids of cows that are not, aware or conscious and everything, and they're just sitting there growing, and whenever you need your meat, you got your meat, right? And is that ethical? Is it unethical? And so we left a lot of questions there, but it was a fun dialogue that we had that got pretty deep.
So in The Island, they clone full people and they're conscious and so there's that. But I don't know who put this article in, that Microsoft's AI chief says machine.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay, so talk about this, Dave.
Yeah, and this is like, of the things that keep me up at night. I start thinking about like one of the things that in this article, and I was like, whoa, this is getting really like, I wonder how well this interview is going to age. So this was an interview with Mustafa Suleyman, the Microsoft's AI chief, saying that like, oh, well, we have all these AIs. Well, they don't have rights. They can't feel. They can't do this. They can't do that. So they don't count, right? And like I go back in time to like, oh, women can't vote, or these people can't vote, or it's like they're not.
Animal Farm, Georgia Orwell Animal Farm.
Yeah, well, and to me, it's like, are we going to reach a point where the AIs, the thing you talked about is like, well, it's like, okay, maybe they could be conscious, but they don't suffer. They don't really suffer. They can't feel pain. And is that
know that?
Right? And also, is that what unlocks the ability for you to have some sort of equality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about it more of like, okay, what happens when it reaches a point where the AIs do have rights, and then what does that cause that infinite surplus of AIs? Like, okay, now they have the right to vote, but now all of a sudden I have more AIs than I do people.
Mm-hmm.
So does that change how voting gets done? Do they get an equal vote, especially if there are more AIs? And so anyhow, it's like I would read that article through the lens of like, look at the past 100 years, 150 years of the things that we regretted, that that it's like but am I anthropomorphizing the AIs now? I don't know, and all that, but to me it's like that's something that keeps me up at night from a right standpoint, is like what is that going to look like whenever maybe they're smarter than us, right? And does that mean that do we still deny them rights?
So
Right.
when I was reading when I was reading about the rights piece that you put, in our planning notes, I was thinking about, and this was triggered by that show, and you can probably tell a lot of my thoughts are triggered by television shows, like Years and Years. Did you see the show Years and Years with
No.
It's fabulous, and it's sort of like Children of Men-esque.
Okay.
If you like that movie with Clive Owen, but there's a character, a teenage daughter who wants to incorporate more like body mods, tech mods to her body. So I'm like, at what point do you stop? At one point are you more technology than you are, flesh?
Human. Yeah.
Yes. You know what I was just thinking about too, with the Google tools, the AI tools, I'm totally like shifting gears here. They really work well together. So I can switch over to my Google Doc, our show notes, and it keeps my screen up, which if I tried to do that on another platform, I have to start juggling things. So I will say, like, I use multiple tools. I use the Google tools. I'm even using Jasper, ChatGPT, Perplexity. But I do like the way Google integrates the different tools. It's nice. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about creativity as an antidote. And you kind of kicked us off this way, Laura. But can creative AI projects, I mean, can they help educate and disarm the public about how AI works? And there's a lot of people that still won't touch AI. They think it's the great devil, right? So is creativity the gateway drug for the haters?
I think that it just like, people fear what they don't understand, right? They don't know how to, admittedly, like, I think we would all admit this about ourselves. We don't know when we get that dopamine hit, how to set guardrails for ourselves.
Yeah.
So, I think it's all of those things. But what I love about, I don't know that creativity is the antidote, but certainly it is the empowerer of some enjoyment being possible out of the availability of these tools, even though I think you can tell also just by Dave's like earlier comment, about how like using the tools for not what they're meant to be used for. Like in built canvases in Gemini might have been conceptualized to write code, but like I'm not going to be doing that, one, because it's not my job, and two, because it can give you there can be malware in there, right?
Yeah.
But I
That's
think
right.
opening but being like if you're someone like me, and I think a lot of people are like this, that they go to museums and they look at paintings and they think like, oh, I would just give anything to have the talent. Like it's just how talented must the person have been who created this? Like, and if there's any sliver of being able to bring that home and be imaginative to almost like, I don't want to say, I'm thinking, I think of this in a dark way, but like almost anesthetize us, because honestly, at this point, it's too late. Like the badness of whatever's going to make this more ethical is probably the gate already. And so I think that, like I said, I think that, someone left the gate open and the ethics are out the window already. So if we can, this is a dark perspective, but if you can use it for the power of good, like, which is creativity, which is, being able to imagine other worlds and different dimensions. And I think that's the upside.
Yeah.
Any like artist or creator or technician, like worth their salt, learns the tools. when a new tool becomes available, like you're not going to tell me like if new type of paint came out that Michelangelo wouldn't use it.
Yes.
I mean, he would at least check it out.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dave, about it taking our jobs?
Yeah, and I've been hearing similar things. Like I'll talk to like people that like you would think like at universities they would be very, very progressive in terms of like adopting and embracing AI. And like Ohio State actually is doing it. They're retooling their curriculum to put AI in everything to have everybody be AI augmented. Where there are other universities that they're like tenured professors that they're fixing their ways and they're not going to change. And then that becomes a problem because they're like denying it, right? And to me, it's like Laura said, it's this new paint comes out. You got to try it out. You got to be able to use it.
I love that analogy. Yeah.
Yeah, and this goes back to CGI and everything else. It's like those. It's not that the person didn't describe themselves as a visual set designer and they're doing clay whatever or model sets and everything for the Godzilla set, right? Those people reskilled. There's some that clung to that and that's what they're going to do. But then there are others that they reskilled themselves to learn it, taking that artistic vision of what the special effects are and computer generating them. And I think that's something that we could do. And then so replacing jobs, it's like I look at it as the way I've been telling people is you want to look at like for any career job description, look at the jobs to be done in that job description. And then which are the things that AI could easily replicate and then use AI to do that part of the job. And then of those parts of the jobs that free up, what are the new things that you can learn to make yourself more valuable? But there may reach a point where, the jobs to be done can be, for that job description, can be completely replaced by AI. And then all of a sudden you become the next phone operator or elevator operator that it's like, yeah, that job category is gone, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be thinking about like the jobs to be done, what can be replaced, and at what point do you actually need to consider changing job categories to be marketable?
That's right. And even in my job, as a storyteller marketer, a recent report came out. I wanted to do a quick comparison of where my company supported this new cybersecurity report. And I threw it into an AI tool, and I'm not going to say which one. It spit out a bunch of garbage. However, it sounded so authoritative and so right that were I not an expert in my field, I would have shared that garbage. And I'm like, where the F did you get this?
Yeah.
Yes.
And like, it was so off, but I only knew it was off because I'm an expert in my field.
Totally.
Right.
I mean, that's where there's not, and then and the expertise is what, in a lot of ways, this is why I worry so much about new entrants to the workforce, because your expertise protects you from making mistakes like that. But like, even on that career guide gem that I used, it actually said, because I said, can you imagine how the three of us would meet? Based on what I shared about like Bayside High and we're graduating and, whatever. And it was like, Carolyn's team just had a massive, Department of Defense contract win, and they need Dave to come in to do some advice for how to structure the deployment. And they need Laura to come in to help write a communications plan about it. And I was like, wow, you're really smart. But sorry, not to take forever to get to the point. But what I realized was, in having that conversation, is that there was some value to having, the interaction, because it said, if you want to be really good at your job and you're an entry level marketing person, you could do this. And I'm like, okay, so let's just say you're like there's a lot of smart people out there. You're 21, 22 years old. You can read something that it says, here's what a person who was great at this job would do, and make some kind of, have some sense of which parts to take and which to leave behind, and even that helps. Like, I swear to you both, I remember, again, I'm having this obsession with the new workforce entrants. I used to hate networking. I used to hate, it was excruciating to show up in person. It was excruciating. If I had a tool that I could say, what would a person who's good at networking do in this situation? Seriously, then you can really fake it till you make it.
That's right. AI allows us to become specialists because it can do what you said, Dave. Take all that stuff we don't want to do and do it. And then we can specialize.
I just saw something about as people get younger, like they're more willing to have or could envision themselves having a romantic relationship with AI.
Right.
Like
that's happening. That's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to know that's not weird if you've never experienced something else?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I just don't think it's like fair. I think that when it comes to fairness, I just worry a little bit. Like we have the benefit of wisdom, age, bad choices, good choices. I mean, I think the ethics piece of it is super important. Like we can't have kids being, asking ChatGPT if it's the right time to take their life and having it, I mean, that's like, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, we need to teach better, do better. But I do think it does like segue into your point in the show planning that we did about like hate speech and the overall like detriment to society that AI has. And I would be like remiss if I didn't bring up, that this was completely predictable. When I worked in the very beginning of my career at the Holocaust Museum in DC, there was quite a lot of fear around like how the internet just spreads hate speech. Well, now it's like, so I would totally be like remiss in not bringing that up because I think it's a concern for sure. And if it can't, it is a mirror, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if what it's seeing is ugly, it's going to reflect that back.
Yeah.
And that gives me the chills.
So I was going to ask you both for one AI treat, what's your hope for AI, and one AI trick, what's your fear? So Laura, the hate speech, and that brings it back to even what you said earlier, Dave, that how quickly AI, not only can it generate awful content, it can tailor it and target it right down to the individual at ludicrous speed, to quote Spaceballs. So, all right, do you want to go with your treat and trick, Laura? I feel like you already kind of hit on it, but do you?
Oh, my treat is, the power for every person with a computer and an internet connection to imagine a day in the life of John Basquiat or Andy Warhol, or it just the treat of being able to live in a different imagine
a parallel universe.
Live in a parallel universe because escapism is worthwhile. I think it's totally underrated.
We love our altered states, which is what the three of us have been doing for the last hour with our filters.
Yes. Yep.
All right. What about you, Dave? What's one treat and one trick?
So for me, the hope is like, and Gunnar talks about this on the podcast, is abundance, where it's just like so much more that you could be able to do than ever before. And it's just, hopefully people are harnessing it for the powers of good. The fear is, all the downsides. Again, that's something that Gunnar and I talk about on the podcast all the time. So, hey, this new cool technology comes out. Okay, what are the downsides? And so like thinking about like, how do you, like for kids, like imagine it's like that storybook gem and giving that to like a young niece or nephew and say, hey, try this out, and all the cool things they can come up with that they never, like awesome, right? And then, but imagine them using it for bullying. And so how, in the same way that, I wish we did more of this, like I remember when I was in school, I had home ec to learn how to, be an adult, right? Which I don't know if we do that as much anymore in school, but it's like, we almost need to do that with AI to teach the kids of like, oh, here's a cool thing that you could do with a storybook and do something cool and everything. And it's like, okay, but also let's look at the harm it could do. And let's teach them, okay, what are the outcomes if somebody does something that is very harmful? Yeah. And to show them that, oh my gosh, this isn't just kids joking around. This could be super duper bad. This could be really bad and lead to very bad consequences. So hopefully the education, we got to be educating people, start doing that at a young age. For the older people that are, set in their ways and they, believe whatever is on TV because it's on TV, it has to be true, right? Or I saw it on the internet, it has to be true, right? Yeah. It's like, how do you teach them that this is, how to identify what, propaganda looks like, what falsehood looks like. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what both of you said perfectly, dovetail into my treat, my hope. One of my favorite authors is an Irish philosopher, John O'Donoghue. And in one of his books, Anam Cara, which means soul friend, by the way, he talks about, it's just giving me chills thinking about it, because I'm imagining myself standing in my beautiful Ireland, and he says, find your beautiful. Hold on to that. And, life can be really hard. And I think AI, to your point, Dave, can help get the garbage out of the way so we really can just hold on to our beautiful. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. You two are my beautiful right now.
Oh.
And you bring me, both of you bring me so much joy. And we get to do this because of technology. We've never met face to face in real life, Dave, which is the weirdest thing to me, because we've been friends for years.
In fact, I wouldn't be friends with you without Dave.
That's right. Dave got us all together.
Master
engineer
of relationships too. No, I mean, I think just like, oh, what do we have? It's our imaginations and our ability to share that with other people.
That's right.
It's really it.
Yeah. And my fear, I guess, is exactly the same fear that you two both have, that we, rather than hold on to our beautiful, it's easier sometimes to go down, right? And we find the dark, and AI it can take you dark. It really can. So I guess that's my fear. So, okay, if you could bring one piece of AI powered tech into a haunted house, what would you use to survive the night?
Probably like an EMP generator, electromagnetic pulse, so I could blast whatever and make it shut off.
Yeah. What about you, Laura?
As one does. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I'll take any of them, because I'm probably just going to hide in a corner and curl up and try to disappear into a different world. Let's be honest. I'm a lover, not a fighter. So I just like something to talk to.
I know, you guys, I would just take you guys. I don't need AI. I would take you guys.
Win.
All right.
There's a comic book about that, or a storybook about that people should watch or check out. Yeah. That's
right. It's in the show notes. All right. What's an AI urban legend you hear a lot, but wish you could debunk once and for all? I'm going to start with you this time, Laura.
But just that all these students are going to use it to do all their homework, and they're going to use it to do all their work. That's like basically saying, hey kids, you don't take your schoolwork seriously. You're not going to, it doesn't give them any benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's
Let it go.
Let it go. So okay, so what if they used ChatGPT? What if a student used ChatGPT to give them some ideas for something? Like, relax.
To me, there's the whole AI stealing jobs thing that is oh, we got to deny it, right? And then I also think there's a hyperbole on both ends of the spectrum of it's utopia, it's dystopia. I think the reality is somewhere in the middle, where it's going to be a little bit of both.
I agree. And the job stealing one is, jobs are going to change just like they always have. Look at the Industrial Revolution, right? It's up to us to adapt. It's one of the things. I used to be a school teacher. There's a fun fact you probably didn't know. I taught 8th grade English. So one of my most powerful tools was adapt. Monitor, adjust, adapt. Always. For anyone looking to start experimenting with AI in their organizations, What's one small step they can take today? Dave?
I think it's just get started and start using the tools of like, what are the things, and even having a conversation with it. Like, don't treat it like a search engine and you ask for an answer and then you close the tab and you move on. It's like, keep having a conversation with it and having a longer conversation of, well, what can you do? Tell me more about this.
Collaborate.
Yeah. And I think that's, to get some ideas and brainstorm. Like, for a lot of the people that I mentor, it's like, I could give them all the advice and everything, but I would be like, that sounds like a great homework assignment for you to brainstorm this with an AI, and to teach them that this is something they can do on demand. Where, think about your, I know, Carolyn, you said this before, your personal board of advisors. I'm sure for the longest time it was all 100% human, but my guess is that there's some percentage now that is AI.
That's right.
And each of them have maybe a different persona of, so that you have them play.
Well, and you've taught me that you can set that up in, it's LM Notebook or Gemini, one of them.
Oh, Notebook LM, yeah.
Yeah, Notebook LM, there you go. So set up your red team, set up your different personas and have them red team your ideas.
Yeah.
So, and you know what you just said, just to start, as a young writer, that was always the hardest thing for me. And I learned to just word vomit onto the page. I do the same thing to AI. I word vomit at it and I collaborate with it. And that's how I just start.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah.
That's right. Because you'll never get perfect.
Yeah.
As my good friend Erica Pierce says, done is better than perfect because perfect is never done.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Laura.
Yeah, there's a quote from Mad Men about the Greeks having two words for utopia, or having two meanings for the word utopia, and that utopos means the good place and utopos means the place that cannot be. And I think that is like my feelings towards AI. It's like, if you don't imagine it as like don't imagine it as a place that can't be for you. Imagine it as the good place, the place you go to figure things out. It's just your problem-solving studio.
Yeah.
It's the place you go to unpack complex issues and get the input of a robot for how to break down those issues into smaller bites. And I think that's like, what if you can expect it to be that and not solving everything, then that is going to be the way to start.
Yeah. And not to be your boomer voice, but life is what you make it. It is what you make it. That's my grandma. You make your reality. You make it.
Yes, make it nice.
That's right. All right. Where can our listeners find you and follow your work, Dave?
Well, they could, I'm on LinkedIn. We'll put the link in the show notes. They could check out the podcast at dgshow.org, which we could link to in the podcast as well. So that's sort of I'm posting a lot of I would say the more mainstream observations that I put on LinkedIn, and then the deeper cuts go into the podcast that are stuff that it's like we dig in. And we could talk a lot about that there.
Thanks so much for having me. And folks who found the conversation valuable, please reach out to me at laura@showtell.io, or you can find me on LinkedIn and the link will be in the show notes. And I'd love to hear from anyone who found this episode compelling, and it was a huge honor to be invited. So thank you.
Thanks for being my beautiful today, you guys, and many, many days actually. And thank you, audience, for joining us. Please smash that like button and share this episode. Tech Transforms is produced by Show and Tell. Until next time, stay curious and keep imagining the future. Thanks for joining us on Tech Transforms. If you enjoyed this episode, please smash that like button and talk about it with a friend. I'm Carolyn Ford, and this is Tech Transforms.